Yeah, yeah, going live on Thursday morning, right? It's Thursday morning, yeah. Hey, this is Ben at the Brew, the Agent Brew, and I'm going to be interviewing an awesome guy coming up. A guy that you guys definitely want to check out that is crushing it. Crushing it. Did that become popular because of Gary V? You know, the guy that gets up in your face and, like, pushes you to do things? That guy. Yeah, so I'm going to actually bring in on Scott Foster. And he's a part of a local show that is very exciting called 330 To Go. And if you live in, hey, morning, Kyle, you are a faithful brewer. I don't know if I've used that statement yet on the Agent Brew, but you are a faithful brewer. And hopefully you have a brewery. That would be awesome. Please direct message me about that, Kyle. If you do have a brewery, that would be awesome. So we are talking to business leaders, entrepreneurs, thinkers, thought leaders, and really understanding how to do business in 2018 and how to do that best. And today I'm going to be talking to a wonderful guy that I've known for years, actually. And I was just checking out his show this morning, like I said, 330 To Go. And he's talking about sports. He's got sound effects all over the place. I don't actually have any sound effects. Hey, Bob Banka, not a brewer, but good morning. It's all right, my friend. There's other forms of brew. Coffee brew. Coffee is very good brewed. But I'm going to bring Scott on in just a minute and get to talk to him. He has been doing a bunch with live video. He has a podcast. You got to make sure to check that out, 330 To Go. Try to think about that next time that you call someone and you type in 330. I guess we don't really type in numbers much these days, but you'll definitely want to do that. So we're going to bring on Scott. Let's look for you, Scotty. Scott Foster says, once again, can't bring Scott on camera. Scott, you got to be on your phone. So I'm hoping, I don't know if it's my connection, but your video is really choppy. Uh-oh. Here, let me try switching up a couple things. Tell me if that's any better, right there. Am I still choppy? And by choppy, do you mean I got chops? It's funny how those two don't go well together. Scott, I actually can't bring you on camera, man. I don't know if you are using your computer or not, but that does not work. Is that any better, Mr. Kyle? Just switch to my data. You're good. Okay, so it's actually not. It's more your connection. Scott, here on the phone. Ah, good. Hey, there you are. Bring him on. To Go, talking with Ben Beaver from the Brew, the Agent Brew, and we are talking about live video while we do live video. Oh, what's up, my bearded man?
Are we there?
Well, I'm here, and I see you, and you're there.
Are you sure you want to do this?
Oh,
I've been known to cause a ruckus.
Let's cause some ruckus. Are you ready for some ruckus?
I'm ready for a ruckus.
Let's just start with what we're all thinking right now. You have a wonderful.
It wasn't the plan this year, like at all. Okay. Now, if you follow the show, this all just happened on its own. This was what, show number 2 or 3, and I made a flippant comment.
Are you talking about your beard or the show? I'm just confused. Are you talking about your beard?
This was like show 2 or 3. I made the comment that I wasn't going to shave again until the Browns won. Okay.
You're never going to shave your head.
Well, no. So you know Jeremy Powell. He does the Orange is Orange or Browns podcast, right? And he was the one who started this mess because he's growing the Browns beard, right? Well, I'm like, and Roddy was like, hey, you can do it too. I'm like, okay, well. they then lost a lot, which it came in handy. It came in handy because we covered the parade live, and so I had a beard down for the parade, which was cool. But now it's like, now what do we do with it?
Now, the real question, Scott, before we actually get into anything, anything of actual content, what does your wife think of the beard? Be honest with me.
I'm sorry, how do I keep the notifications from? Because I keep missing your questions because it's dinging. So how do I make that happen?
You might have your phone on silent. Are you connected? Because I can actually hear my own voice through.
Yeah, I do.
Maybe try unconnecting those. Scotty Scott, wonderful beard, Scott. My beard is not as bountiful as it used to be, and I have a little bit of beard envy right now. What does your wife think about your beard, and what is that doing for your relationship?
Hey, honey. What do you think of my beard?
Oh, and the second question.
You're live right now. What do you think of the beard?
It's fine.
She said it's fine. What does it do for the relationship? It's weird, right? Because, I don't know, it hasn't changed anything. No, there was, hold on. There was one time she kissed me. It was about, a month ago? And she said, it smelled musty.
You know, I have a little bit of a rule. Whenever my wife stops kissing me, that's when I need to shave.
Right.
Beard education.
She says I need beard maintenance education.
Well, that is not what we're talking about today, but we are enjoying a brew. Hopefully you got a wonderful brew over there, Scott. I want to hear more about 330 to go. You've been doing Facebook Live a lot. How has that been going for you? What have you learned? Yeah, let's just start there.
All right, so the premise of the show started, ironically, with the election.
Interesting.
So, yeah, you know me for a number of years, and I've been DJing. I started DJing in 1994, on a DJ business. And my dad actually got me into it by seeing an article in the paper. He said, "Hey, why don't you go try this?" And so, I ended up doing it my freshman year of college, right? And my first wedding ever was in Medina at Vels Party Center. And the mother of the groom got in a fight with the aunt of the bride at the DJ table and fell into the table.
This is his first gig?
Year-old kid, 19. I'm like, this is the best job I'm ever going to have. So I've been doing it ever since. So here we are, over 900 weddings later, and people have been telling me, hey, there's this podcast phenomenon, there's this webcast phenomenon. I think it's something you'd be good at. And so they've been pushing me in that direction. It's been a few years now. And I was resistant and hesitant to do so initially because I'm thinking, okay, well, what am I going to talk about? What's the show going to be, right?
Yeah.
So the election happened, and by coincidence, we happened to be in Chicago the night of the election.
Okay.
And
by coincidence, or actually by coincidence?
No, we were there for business.
Nice.
But the point is, we watched the election results come in Chicago, and then the following day, there were protests in and around Trump Tower. So I'm like, you know what? I'm with my honey. Can you grab the baby? I'm with my boss, and we're there on business, and I'm like, let's go check this out. So I went down, and there wasn't anything really going on, and it's like we had missed everything. And then all of a sudden, we heard like a ruckus.
Mm-hmm.
And here come hundreds and hundreds of people walking up the streets protesting after the election. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to film this. So I bring out my phone, I filmed it live, and I grabbed some people from the crowd, and I interviewed them. I mean, as best I could. It was very generic. I didn't know what to ask because this isn't my media market. It went well. Well, then about 2 weeks later, they did it again. Remember, at Highland Square in Akron.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking,
the Akron.
Yeah, you remember that? So I'm thinking, okay, this is 2 minutes from my house. Now it's the real deal. So I drove my truck right down there, stuck it right in the middle, and then I filmed from up above in my truck bed, and I pulled people aside and interviewed them, and I asked them questions. Why are you doing this? What are your thoughts? everybody was peaceful, and it was an interesting experience to say the least. But so that led us then to the next incident, which was the Cavs in the finals this past year.
Pretty much.
So I went down.
Big things for Ohio right there was election, Cavs game. Which, by the way, guys, if you just jumped on, I saw Clark Jeanette, Melinda Hart, wonderful. Thank you for being on here. It's exciting. I am talking to Scott about 330 to go and how he got into this whole idea of doing a podcast and live streaming. And we were just at the story where we hit from election, writing a bunch of stuff, interviewing people around the election, and then you're over at the Cavs game, right? Cavs. Was this before or after we won?
Well, we went. This was last year when we lost, but it was Game 3, and we were down there for Game 3. So I went up and down East 4th Street, and I interviewed fans, both Cavs fans and Warriors fans, to get their takes on the game and all that, right? So it's like, after doing it a few times, I'm like, we're getting better at this, right? So then next thing you know, people were like saying, you really should do this. You really should do this. So it was around what, a Halloween, I think. And I had some free time on my hands. I'm like, it's either now or never. And I did some research around, and I looked around at what was available in Akron. Now, remember, we used to have a Akron news station that was was it Channel 23, I believe? It was Akron News, and it was located, I think their station was down in Summit Mall, right in the rotunda in the food court. And they closed. So there hasn't been like a news outlet that covers specifically Akron now for a number of years. And I looked at the pods that were available in Akron. I looked at some of the other shows in Akron. Nobody really covered like Akron as a variety show. And of course, with our backgrounds, the three of us that are involved, which is me, myself, Mike, and Steve.
That was 4.
We're all sports.
You hit me, myself.
No. Yeah, I know. That's where I get my content, is by having conversations with myself in my head.
Good,
but
good. Keep going.
Point being, the three of us, when we establish a show, we're going to always sprinkle some sports in. Mm-hmm. But the idea was, how do we cover Akron and Canton and the surrounding areas, Macedonia? That's where we came up with the name 330 to go. It's that area code. So it's that idea that it's in and around this area. And we like to mix it up, and we like to have various topics, and we like to appeal to an audience that not only is sports related, but is also non-sports related.
Yeah. So
that's where the show started. And it's been quite a ride.
Yeah.
I mean, we really got lucky. Initially we had some viewership, and it was mostly people we knew. You know how that goes when you're starting a business. It's friends and family.
Absolutely.
But then we lucked out with the Browns parade. And I mean, we went up there. We were the only news media source to cover the Muni lot before the parade. And yeah, so next thing you know, our silly little show is being tweeted all over the country. And I'm like, what? So yeah, I mean, that's where the show started.
That's awesome, man. And just for those that came on, speaking of friends and family, my dad just jumped on. Hey, Thomas A. Beaver, good to see you. Thanks for being on here. It's exciting. So talking to Scott, we're talking about 330 to go, and I'm actually part of the Agent Brew. And the idea of agentbrew.com is all about learning from different entrepreneurs, business leaders, and then applying that to real estate, but really applying it to all businesses, because real estate agents are just small businesses. So let's get down to the nitty gritty on that, man. How has this helped you in business? Just to ask you that, Scott, like, because this was kind of like, hey, we were just having fun, and then it kind of blew up.
Well, the goal is to get exposure for, one, our DJ business, and secondly, the Safe Dryer business as well. Those are the two businesses that are attached to that as the initial sponsors.
What was the second? I couldn't hear.
Safe Dryer. They focus on cleaning out dryer vents and getting rid of lint fires, that kind of stuff. But then his and hers is our DJ business as well, and it's me and the wife. But in addition to that, though, obviously we'd like to monetize the show at some point soon. We've started to get sponsors. We're looking for that big corporate sponsor, and at that point, we can really take it next level. Because right now we literally do it right out of the living room of my home, and it's almost like having a life group because you have all these families come over. The kids are all here. They're all watching movies and playing out in the other rooms and throughout the house. We have a live studio audience. We set it up so that we just flip the couches around and in
All right.
the in with us. So from an exposure standpoint, the goal is to monetize the show itself and to get sponsors, and we've gotten a few already, and it's interesting how it's happening. It's very grassroots in the way that it grows. But the show appeals to. We have a very on-demand society right now. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So from that standpoint, when we pick our topics, we try to go in a direction that people want to in relation to the crowd that tunes in. Um, from that standpoint, I approach it the same way that we do the DJ business when I'm DJing, as far as taking requests. We'll say, hey, what do you guys want us to cover next time? What are some topics that you're interested in? And we've gotten enough content now. We could probably plan 2 to 3 months worth of shows right now just on people that have reached out to us. Like next week is on date night in and around Ohio and the Comay babysitting app exchange, which the girls from Comay, they're here locally in Akron, but they're becoming a national company, and so that's a demand. People want to go out for Valentine's Day. Hey, let's couple it with a free babysitting service, okay? And then we've had other people that reached out. Somebody said something once that, oh, maybe you should do a show about dogs and animals, because a lot of animals are given as Christmas gifts and then don't work out and end up in the pound in January and February. So we're doing a show at the end of February that's going to involve a lot of the rescue shelters in and around Akron in regards to animals. So I mean, we follow the lead of our client base, which right now our client customers are our viewers. Yeah, so what we Danielle's commenting there. We are very in tune with
that is very sad, Danielle.
Yeah. We are very in tune with what our viewers are passionate about. And like we just did a 3-part segment on working out, doing the natural. Everybody makes that New Year's resolution where they say, okay, it's time to lose some pounds in 2018. So we did a 3-part segment on it, and I ended up interviewing 4 different guests on our last show, which were all different types of ways to work out. And we try to stay agnostic in our approach, because we don't want to necessarily favor or frown upon any one individual entity or methodology.
Mm-hmm.
Our goal is to provide a platform for people to express themselves and to be able to get the word out. So, that's I don't know if that answered your question. I probably talked too much, but
you are a DJ, my friend, through and through. The thing is, that I just want to say here, guys, Mark Lewis, just saw you jumped on. Welcome. I didn't get to say hi to Danielle. We just talked about you. Thanks for being on here. So this is the Agent Brew, where I get a brew with some friends. You got your brew over there, Scott?
I do.
It's a little early. There we go. Oh, there we go. And what we do is we talk about really like what is working in business for you, and then I would apply it then to real estate agents and small businesses, but it's a helpful conversation really for anybody listening. So big thing that I'm hearing out of your story, Scott, is the fact that the smartphone that you hold in your pocket is a broadcasting device. You can literally connect with the entire world, but you have to do it in a very specific way and ways that actually help people. So we just talked to a guy, Sean Christie. It was a great conversation earlier this week, and he was talking about Facebook algorithms, amazing stuff. You got to look at agentbrew.com to check out the replay on that. But a big thing that he was saying is the days of like just putting up a post and everybody seeing it, it's gone. So as real estate agents, as small businesses, all of that, really what you're doing, Scott, is what you're doing is target marketing in a lot of ways, and then bringing a platform for people to be able to discuss and talk about issues. What are some of the obstacles that you've hit along this way? Just to ask about those.
Well, the main topic we're covering today is how to build those relationships, right? And
Mhm.
it's interesting, especially from a real estate. I have a lot of friends that are real estate agents, and I watch how they post, and I kind of mimic some of the things that they do. It's very interesting. The larger your network gets, the more difficult it is for you to manage your content and for you to manage which direction that content is going. And I watched the episode with Sean as well, and one thing he pointed out was it's okay to be personal on your business stuff, and that's it's very difficult for me to manage that because there are so many elements as to who I am in regards to my volunteer work for church, in regards to my DJ business, in regards to my day job, in regards to 330 to go, and then with my family. It's like it's like you want to be able to show people the different. You don't want to be like spam in their newsfeed all the time. So when I do my posts, everything is very, I was laughing as Sean said, I literally have everything scheduled. Okay. As far as
Mhm.
how to appeal to which audience I'm looking for. So for example, during a Cavs game, during a Browns game, those are the people I'm talking to. Those are my target posts. When I'm DJing, I've got pictures of the weddings that are up during the day. Those are my target audiences. Okay. Then the videos and the cute pictures are of the kids or for the grandmas and the aunts and uncles, right? It's interesting the feedback that I get from people because there's two things that you want to avoid. All right. One is you want to avoid burning relationship capital. And the problem you're going to run into there, right? This is a very polarized society right now in regards to a lot of issues. What you want to do is you want to give people a long enough leash, but you don't want to let them wreck your show or your feed. It's okay to allow people to comment. It's okay to discuss controversial topics. But the moment that they go over, you have to have a line. And wherever that line is, it's for you to establish. But when that line is drawn or crossed, then you need to check them. And I always try to avoid burning relationship capital. When there are people out there that have a
Mhm.
completely and totally different opinion than mine, I approach them in a manner in which we try to talk about things socially on social media. We try to do that in a nice way, because as soon as you get nasty, then you're getting that person's leaving your network, and as soon as they leave your network, they no longer are a target audience they're interested in down the future. Okay, and the second thing is the unfollow button, the dreaded unfollow, because just because you're Facebook friends with somebody and just because they're in your network doesn't mean that they're paying attention to a word you're saying, and they probably tuned you out months ago. I've had this happen this year a lot, and I was very passionate about when the Vegas shooting happened. I had a strong opinion on that, and I came hard out after it, and I lost a lot of people following me, and that hurts from a business standpoint because they no longer are seeing your content. So once that next thing you know, the only time that they see anything is when you've got something that is catastrophic, where somebody passed away or something, and now there's 600 people saying that they're sorry to you, right? So it's those to me are the two things in terms of avoid burning those bridges and avoid getting that dreaded unfollow button.
Well, guys, if you just joined, see that Jamie Mathalag. I don't know how to say your last name. That's an awesome last name. Rob Plaster over there from Paris, my friend. It's all about adding value to people. Selling is serving. Yeah, you brought that up the other day, man. That is a great great hashtag right there. And I think the point that you're making, Scott. I'm here with Scott. 330 to go, and what you're saying is relationships. That's what you have to keep in mind. This just because we're talking in front of phones right now, it doesn't mean that there's not a person on the other side of that phone. There's not you guys are people that are commenting on this. I think sometimes we can get a little bit off track with that. And it's almost like, well, this is my personal diary and I can just rant, and not that I don't know exactly how I feel about that, to be honest. But from a business standpoint, you have to be careful and you have to be intentional. What do you think about that, Scott?
Well, and that goes back to just meeting people where they're at, finding out what are their needs and finding out, where are they coming from? You've heard the term, we've said it for decades about walking in another man's shoes. Until you have a better understanding of where they're coming from, you can't even begin to meet their needs. And from that standpoint, it's very important then to avoid shutting people down. It's funny, right? Because the more that we get connected in this world of ours, the more disconnected our interactions are becoming. How many networks friends do you have right now that you've never actually physically met them? They're friends with you on Facebook, okay? And then you're out and you're at Acme or you're at El Rancho, and then you see them, and you walk up to them and you go, "Hi, you're so and so, right?" And they'll go, "Yeah," and I'm like, I'm blah," and they'll go, "Oh my God!" And then there's like this weird awkwardness because you've just exchanged all of these personal thoughts and feelings for months over passionate issues, but you've never physically met them. And then all of a sudden you do, and then you're like, it's like weird, right? Okay, but the point is, from that standpoint, you need to avoid shutting people down because people want to be heard. The reason that someone sits there at a keyboard and types 6 paragraphs about Chief Wahoo is because they want to be heard. And so then you have to realize where are they at, where are they coming from. You got to be able to meet them at that place, and that's really where it comes when it comes to being genuine. That's where that intentionality exists. There's so many people out there that I just want to scream. I want to scream. I'm like, what are you doing? And I guarantee that there are so many people out there that feel that way about me. And it's like, until you come to that, what do we have in common first? Before we get into what do we disagree on? Find the commonality. Yeah. Find the commonalities. And from a business standpoint, that's a big deal. When we interview a bride, it's extraordinarily important to us to find out what do they want in a DJ and why. Why are they getting a DJ to begin with? And the question I ask, the first question I'll ask is, when you were a little girl, what did you think your wedding would be like?
I was never personally a little girl. I don't know.
Not to you. I
that question, Scott.
When I ask Brian.
No, I got you.
Hey.
I'm just messing with you, dude.
Yeah, but I guarantee I've got 16 years now of cartoon knowledge. Okay, as far as like this.
Yeah.
As your kids get older, you cycle through. So right now the big one for us is like PJ Masks. I'm like, really?
No, dude, it's huge. So, guys, if you just jumped in, Lindsay Motil Lovesy got married. Awesome. Looking at this, we're actually got about 5 minutes left. Would love to actually have people ask questions. Sitting here with Scott, 330 to go. This has been at the Brew, agentbrew.com, where we are talking about building relationships online. And a big part of what you're saying, Scott, is just meeting people where they're at. So while we're talking real quick, if you guys want to comment in thoughts that you have, maybe ways that you've been burned by this, maybe how many people you have unliked recently. Hopefully you're not unliking Scott right now. That would not be kind. We're bringing him up here. He's a good guy. He's got a nice beard. Yeah, no one likes, it's just not worth it. So in our last 5 minutes then, Scott, how would you encourage other businesses to really actually start using social media? You said you got a lot of real estate friends. That's what the Agent Brew is all about agentbrew.com. How would you encourage them, or how would you discourage them when it comes to their social media?
I try and break it down into components based on the media source. Okay. I don't get into the Snapchat and the filters. I don't get into all the Periscope and all that kind of stuff. To me, that's all kind of cutesy and gimmicky. Now, for
Yeah.
photographers, I could see how that would be useful. But so when I look at my free mediums, I've got Facebook, I've got Instagram, and I got Twitter. Okay. Twitter, I use strictly for 330 to go and kind of snarky, angry ranting. That's how Twitter to me is joke. Twitter to me is sports jokes, ranting, that kind of stuff. So in other words, the snarky, witty Hank. That's our studio name, right? That's where we
There's
use
your
Twitter.
studio name. I'm like, his name is Scott. What the heck are you talking about?
Hank and Roddy. So watch episode 1, you'll understand that one. And then
Where can
so
people
Instagram,
watch one, by the way, Scott? Just so while we're plugging, might as well plug it straight.
yeah, in Instagram, I focus just as wedding pictures. So for example, if you go on my Instagram, the majority of what you're going to find are all wedding cakes, to give people ideas. So that's why I use Instagram. And then Facebook is where, that mishmash of all of it comes together in terms of personal life, in terms of business and business, right? So I guess the advice that I would give is learn how to compartmentalize what you're posting and where you're posting it. The majority of the businesses that are out there, right? They're going to have a Facebook business page, and they're going to have a personal profile page for themselves. So I would always use the business page regularly to highlight anything that you're out and doing. In other words, where is Ben today? Where is Agent Brew today? Okay, this should be a constant feed on the Agent Brew page of where is Agent Brew today? What's he up to? Okay, and then on the personal page, yeah, and then on the personal page, that's where the mishmash comes of showing, and this goes back to what Sean said the other day. Don't be afraid to let people know that you're a real person. But at the same time, don't shy away from pubbing your own businesses on your personal stuff. It's a delicate balance. It's a delicate balance.
Well, that is actually our time. Scott, thank you so much. Where can people find 330 to go? I was looking you guys up on Apple Podcasts. I assume it's podcasts all over the place, but where can people go to check out more about 330 to go?
Well, the main primary driver is our Facebook page, and that is 330 to go on Facebook. And then we also have a website. It's the number 330 to go .com, and that is the actual pod. So there's no video on there, I believe, not much. It's mostly just the audio podcast, and that's available on iTunes. It's available on Stitcher. It's available on most podcast venues that you would normally use. And that's for the folks. We have a lot of folks that are out of state that download. We got a lot of friends and family that have moved away from Akron that want to keep tabs, that live down in Florida or over in California. That's where our primary pod is popular right now. It's really kind of funny because it's not in Ohio. But yeah, you can check that out. It's 330go.com. That's where we'll also have our specials too, where when we do have sponsors. Where this week, if you haven't got that honey yet, our sponsor for next week, they're selling bacon covered roses. And it's the bacon is the rose, and it's covered in chocolate. Okay, it's fantastic. I'm thinking we haven't had them yet, and then they have cupcakes. So make sure you check that out. That's listed among our specials right now. But that's one of our sponsors for next week. But the point is, you'll find us all over the place. At this point, we're stressed.
Cutting in and out a bit, Scott. But just wanted to thank you, man. Thanks for being on Agent Brew. There you go, my friend. I will talk to you later. Make sure to check out 330 to go with Scott. Thanks, Scott. All right, so big things that we can apply there to your business, that we can apply to real estate business, is be delicate with your business. on social media. Be intentional about who you're talking to, when you're talking to them, what you're talking to them about. So make sure to jump over to agentbrew.com. We'll put up a replay of this. And hey, this has been At the Brew, the Agent Brew. Hopefully you get a brew sometime soon. See you guys.